Hello and good day, eh? Welcome to the Super Good Camping Podcast. My name is Pamela.
I'm Tim.
We are from supergoodcamping.com. We are here because we are on a mission to inspire other families to enjoy camping adventures such as we have with our kids. Today's guest is an extremely important member of Canada's outdoor adventure community. He hosts a YouTube live stream every Tuesday for about 8 months a year and spends 2 or so hours on each one, chatting with an amazing cast of characters about every camping topic imaginable. His chat stream during these shows is a who's who of the outdoor adventure community in Ontario, which is why he's so important. He creates great content, provides a space for all the content creators and all of the fans to get together. He also gets out for some pretty epic adventures of his own. Most of them involve a canoe and some pretty hardcore portages. Please welcome husband, dad, and grandpa, Dennis Rogers from the Outdoor Adventure Show.
From
Canoehound Adventures.
Hey, nice to have you here.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on the show. I love what you guys are doing for the outdoor community as well.
Cool.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks.
We wish we had a chat that we can have going just like you do, because the chat is so much fun.
It is. Weirdly, so we were on your show beginning of October, something like that, 2022, simply because I don't know when this is going to air. And when we did your show, I have a bit of stage fright, so I didn't have the chat up, and when I read it later, I probably would have panicked while it was up, just because people are like talking about you and stuff, right? It's like,
what did they say?
So it was fine to read later, but yeah, that would have been very.
I keep it interesting. I picture all my chat participants, in their underwear, so it's
They may well be
okay.
In pajamas.
Yeah.
I wear a nightie, just so we're clear.
There we go.
All right, so let's dive right in. My introduction to you was I actually don't remember which show it was, but I sort of just tripped over your show. It was by watching all the YouTube people, and I heard a reference to you at some point. So I went, hey, cool, I'm going to go check that out, and immediately just went, oh, this is awesome. This is fantastic. To watch people interact and at the same time watch the chats go by. So it's like it's this giant community get together. How did you get into it? And then how did it grow on its own? Was it an organic thing, or did you actively, by pursuing all these people, is that how that became such a community magnet?
You know what? Well, with my love for the backcountry and stuff like that, I've always enjoyed my outdoor activities, right? And just like your mission for your show, you're trying to inspire people to get out there and try different things. As somebody who's always watched YouTube and really enjoyed it, following guys like just like everybody else, everybody probably cut their teeth on Joe Robinette, and others like him in the outdoor community, and watching what they do, and saying, hey man, I can make these YouTube videos and get out there and explore and share my adventures with people. And for whatever reason, whether you want to be, have 1.5 million subscribers like him, or, just somebody that wants to document their activities and be able to look back on it from the past. That's kind of something that got me inspired to get into the whole YouTube thing. And as a growing YouTuber, and by all means, my channel's not large. I'm under 6,000 subscribers, but I have 6,000 very good subscribers, I must say, because they're all genuine followers, and that's what you really want for a YouTube channel.
Yep.
But I always thought that, as much as I enjoy watching YouTubers, you always want that little bit more, to learn a little bit more about them. Like, not talking about their personal lives, but just why, just like what we're talking about now, why do you do this, and things of that sort. And I thought, what, it'd be really cool to have a show where I could interview just the people that I enjoy watching. And I never really thought that the community that my channel has built would grow to be what it is now. It's something that I really never expected, and it's amazing that and it's very complimenting and humbling at the same time when you hear people say, you know what, you're such a big part of the outdoor community. But my real reason for starting it, and I don't know if it's a selfish thing or not, but it was because I wanted to meet the people that virtually meet the people that I followed and kind of admired on YouTube.
Cool.
Well, we feel blessed that we've been able to do such a thing too, to actually talk to these people that we've admired and watched and followed.
Yeah, sure. And for me, it's totally selfish. So,
well, you know what? It's not though. Because every person I've ever interviewed here on Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show is a person just like you, Tim, and you, Pamela, and myself. We're all just normal people. Most of us have day jobs. And you know what? This here platform on YouTube or through a podcast or what have you is just a way of reaching out to people that are very like-minded like ourselves, and they enjoy the same things, that we enjoy. It's no different than, say, being a gamer and following gamers that you admire that are really good at Call of Duty or whatever games are. I'm not into that, but
right.
It's just a way of meeting the people that are on the other side of that screen or on the other side of that speaker. So,
well, yeah, and finding out what makes them tick, and also having the opportunity just to say thank you for what you've brought to our lives and the inspiration that they've brought to us, the community sense. It's a wonderful community.
Yeah, they're wickedly supportive of each other, which is, I mean, theoretically, they're sort of in competition with each other, right? Because they're YouTubers, so they're trying to draw eyes. You want as many eyes looking at your stuff as opposed to somebody else's stuff, and yet that's not how it plays at all. Like everybody's, like, hey, how's it going? Hey, and again, I'll reference your chat about 87 times in this episode simply because it blows my skull. You have like everybody, all the big names and all the small people that really matter, that support all those big names, but they all interact as though they're all Joe regular. It's cool.
It's kind of it's kind of like going to the bar on a Friday night, right? You get to meet up with all your buddies type of thing. Eh?
There you go.
And that just goes to show that, like, some of the bigger YouTubers, and when I say bigger YouTubers, I mean those that have higher subscription counts,
right?
Because there are smaller YouTube channels or outdoor personalities that don't have the same reach, but they're equally as important as the big guys, right?
Agreed.
But it's kind of neat that even a lot of the, once again, the bigger YouTubers find it as a good place to go and to be able to communicate with their followers as well. Sally could say hi to Joe in the chat, you know what I mean? And Joe's going to answer her back, right? It's Joe on the other end of that keyboard. So yeah, it's kind of brought together the community in that respect, that it might be just a couple of simple letters on a screen, but you know what? It's something that that they appreciate, and they get a response, and it could be a highlight or or whatever it might be, but it's just a connection. A connection. I guess that's a great way to put it.
That's an excellent word. Yeah, connections. That's perfect. It is. It's great. All right, so you're in season 4 now, right?
This is season 4. Yeah, I'm just as we're cutting this right now, I'm editing the thumbnail for our Christmas show, which I believe is our 116th episode overall.
Holy mackerel, that's awesome.
Yeah, you know what? It's not getting any easier.
Yeah. I envy the ability to, and I'm sure I mentioned this, I hate doing the video editing, but I'm good with the audio. I've got that pretty down now. We're actually, as we're recording this, I'm waiting hopefully about an hour. Our eldest Thomas will come home, and I'm going to make him plunk down beside me to help me edit so I can put out another video, just because otherwise I won't do it.
Right. Yeah.
It's too painful.
You know what? That's probably why I enjoy doing the show so much, is the editing's not there, but what I would spend in editing time for, shooting an adventure video and posting it on YouTube, I spend that and more just trying to get shows set up.
Yeah.
We're here on a Sunday morning. I'm, down here in the basement in my studio for 3.5 hours, just setting up the show, setting up the thumbnails. I'll spend Monday and Tuesday at work. Don't tell the boss, even though I'm the boss.
I'm sure he's
I'll
not
spend
listening.
Monday and Tuesday, a good portion of that, devoted to doing the show, setting itineraries, making sure everything's all set up. And there's a lot that goes into it. And it's a good thing. The reward to me is like we just discussed, getting to meet like-minded people and sharing that with others. And that's my biggest reward, because the monetary part certainly isn't there. I think Sean Rowley and Derek Spesh from Paddling Adventures Radio say it best. Hey, it's a labor of love. You're not going to get rich on it. Yeah.
Yeah, we won't be retiring on our.
No.
You do it because you enjoy it, right, Tim?
Yep.
We enjoy it, and we enjoy the people that we've gotten to meet.
Sure. Yeah.
Perfect segue. So I wouldn't say favorite, because I can't imagine at 116 episodes that you have a particular favorite, but rhyme off I don't know, throw some names at me that you really enjoyed doing a show with.
You know what? You guys know I have a great relationship with Kevin Callan.
Yep.
Kevin is somebody that I still now, even though we've gotten to be kind of buddy, he's still a great inspiration to me. What he does for the community is like second to none. He's built an empire. Might not be a financial empire, but it's an empire of a community of outdoorsy stuff, and the way he promotes the outdoors, and all the good. He's really for all the good. Kevin does it right. Other notables, and you know what, I this question, I always kind of trip over it, because every guest I've ever had on the show to me is equally like it's all a level playing field. Everybody is doing the same thing, and they're inspiring people to get outdoors, and that's why I like this. But to some thrilling moments for me, having Les Stroud on the show was a real pinnacle for me. Les, everybody knows Les Stroud, Survivor Man, right? Having some of the winners of Alone series on the show, the Joe Robinettes, the Bears, Juan Pablo Quinones, having Kyla Morone on the show. She was on Alone. Another huge inspiration, Hap Wilson. His Temagami book is kind of one of my Bibles. I've had like 3 different editions of the Temagami book, quite literally, because I've worn them all out, Pat doing his canoe routes and stuff like that. So yeah, to have people like that on the show that you really looked up to in your early days of canoeing and stuff. First time I met Hap Wilson, my daughter said, "Dad, you're fangirling." So yeah.
I've witnessed a few fanboying here too.
Yeah. Happens all the time.
It's hard not to, when you see these people, like if you're a regular YouTube watcher and you follow, I just say it's dropping the same names, but like, Karina from Alexis Outdoors and Tunis and Brittany and all these others, Camper Christina, who makes herself very accessible to people, and you watch their videos on a regular basis because you're watching them on a computer, on a screen, or on a TV. Yeah, there's that celebrity status there, right? And it can make you feel all giddy inside when you actually meet this person for the first time. It's like, how do you approach it? Do you if with a hug or a bro hug or a handshake or a high five, or do you stand back and just sort of shaking your boots, right? So, and I've been there, trust me, I've been there. So yeah.
We're planning to go to the Outdoor Adventure Show in February, and I have no idea. It's like, had you like, hey, because you're watching on the computer, because you're listening to them, it's like you sort of know them, and they have no idea who you are.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. Every time I go to a show, somebody will come up and they'll say, "Hey, I watch your show all the time. Thank you very much for doing what you're doing." And I go, "Thank you very much. What's your name in the chat?"
Right.
And then I could put a face to the name of the chat because I do try to watch the chat as it's floating down the side, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to the Toronto Outdoor Adventure Show this year, make sure you come on over to the kid products or display, and that's not a promotion, but it's to say that like I always have a spot at their booth. And we're right beside the paddling and adventure stage.
Cool.
And it's like a meeting hub for all the YouTubers. Last year we had so many of the YouTubers were there. Tents and Timber were there. Um, uh, Karina and the Richards, the Freaks of Nature, and it went on and on. Hey, we had this whole huge hub there, and so much so that we said, hey, maybe we should get our own booth and have a YouTube content creators booth at the show.
That's an interesting idea.
Excellent.
Yeah, that would be a neat idea. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We'll definitely drop by.
Oh yeah,
and say
absolutely. There's no. I'm going to drop by and see you for sure. I keep my eyes out for that lunatic Kevin.
Kevin will be there, I'm sure. Yeah,
I'm sure he
Kevin
will.
doesn't miss too many of the Toronto Outdoor shows. Actually, he was at the Kid Products booth last year too, because his regular booth that he goes and sells in autographs, books and stuff, Canadian Outdoor Equipment, they weren't there, so he had to find some place. And the guys at Kids said, "Yeah, come on over, added exposure, right?" So
right,
smart move.
Great.
Yeah,
it's interesting. Yeah, I haven't been for a very long time, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be cool. Yeah. All right, so tripping. How often do you get out? I'm sure I know it varies every year, and your boss, I hear, is a real slave driver, but he does let you get out once in a while.
yeah.
How often do you get out, and what kind of stuff do you like to do? Do you actually do any front country? Because all I see is back country of your stuff.
You know what? We do front country adventures. Usually it's like family or family group. We're close with my in-laws, like my son-in-law's side of the family, and we like to do a lot of camping there. It used to be boat camping up around Wickstead Lake, up around Temagami area,
right?
But we've all since sold our boats because they were sitting in the driveways costing us money and not doing too much with our summer schedule. So we go to Turkey Point, we'll go to Sammy D, Sammy de Champlain Park, and do some front country. But for the most part, that's one weekend out of a year or a week out of a summer. All the rest is Dennis getting into the back country. Got this past summer, I had 4 trips I got in.
Sweet.
Which they weren't, one was an 8-day, and then there was a couple of 4 days, and then just a weekender, right? A 3-day weekend. But every chance I get, I live in Southern Ontario. So for me to get to Barrie is almost 2.5-3 hour drive, right? And that's not even north yet. North doesn't start for me until I hit Sudbury or North Bay, and then start traveling north from there. So
right.
That's the hard part for me, is the travel. Yeah. I wish I lived up north.
Yeah. When's teleportation going to happen?
Right. Yeah. We need that. We got to make that happen, Pamela.
It has to be a big one because my canoe needs to fit on the platform.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into?
I wanted to go way back to 1984, where it all started, because you'd written on your website about how you went out with a buddy near Temagami with an old rented heavy aluminum canoe that leaked, and it was bad weather, and you were overloaded with heavy gear and coolers, and there was black flies and mosquitoes that you could cut through with a knife. You had no water filtration, and you had an old Boy Scout pup tent with your feet stuck out the end of it, but you fell in love with it and decided to keep doing it.
You know what? Every word of that is true. 100%.
I thought that was hilarious.
You remember those old pup tents they sold in a Canadian Tire? Had 2 poles and this triangle tent, right?
I have one downstairs still. Thomas and I did a week in Kawartha Highlands, and I'm keeping the tent just because we will never do that again.
Yeah. And I'm 6'1.5", right? And I think they're built for people that are around maybe 5'6".
Yes.
You put your sleeping bag in there, which was a big, huge old Coleman thing there, and yeah, man, it was. We were so ill-equipped for that canoe trip for first time going backcountry that I look back on it now and it's, that'll never happen again. That'll never happen again. But yeah,
It's
you know, what
You
do you
learn.
drink for water? We brought like 2-liter pop bottles of water, or like, you know,
Wow.
or the equivalent, like a jug of water. And uh,
And you
you
liked
know,
that.
here you're on this big pristine lake, right? And it's like you're afraid to drink the water because you think you're gonna get sick because there's bugs in it or something. It's like by the end of the week, we were just scooping and drinking, right? And hoping that we didn't get
Hoping for the
hope
best.
for the best. Yeah.
diarrhea or anything else, right? But yeah, things have come a long way from that point. You know, carrying our food was in a big Coleman cooler, and I'm not talking one of them plastic ones. Remember the metal Coleman coolers? They were like the steel outer and stuff.
The light blue ones. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom and dad lent that to me. I broke the hinges on it. What are you gonna do? But yeah, we were loaded up with hot dogs and steaks and like, you know, cans of soup. And it's like, you gotta be kidding me, man. Portage. I gotta carry that over a portage. Yeah.
That's
Nowadays,
hilarious.
try and make it as light as possible. And my buddies still tell me nowadays they call my backpack Big Red. Got one of those old Ostrom, like one of the original Ostrom back canoe packs from like 20 years ago or more even. And yeah, I'm not afraid to carry the gear if I can carry it, but yeah, it's lighter than then, but it's still heavy by today's standards.
So, yeah.
Well, and they say, what is it, that the worst decisions make the best stories. So it sounds like that was full of good stories.
I've got canoe trips that I hardly remember, and that's because they just went smooth. It was smooth sailing, like start to finish, right? Ones I'm gonna have to go back maybe and redo because I guess without a little drama in the canoe trip, I want to remember them. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this one sounds memorable.
Yeah.
That was, and I could tell you, I still go to that same area to this day. I was actually there this summer. Me and a buddy went up there, and that's I tell everybody about Tilden Lake, north of North Bay, just below Temagami. And it's a nice little 5-lake chain up there. And yeah, I'm like Kevin. I like to share. I like to make sure canoe routes get used and not abused, but used, and you know, to carry it on so that we don't lose it, type of thing. But that Tilden Lake area to me is kind of a magical area, and it's what got me going on the Temagami area and the whole Hap Wilson thing, right? So
cool. That's well, it's like that's a perfect learning experience. Now you know how to not do it. So now let's go out again and we'll see if we can do it a little bit better this time. So yeah.
It's all learning.
Yeah. Can I tell you a funny little story about that?
Absolutely. We love stories.
Than what you've already heard. So we mentioned that the mosquitoes were bad. Well, the mosquitoes were so bad. Like I think it's even to this day, I don't think I've experienced mosquitoes as thick as they were there. And we didn't know what to do, but we always heard, you know, you get a really smoky fire going and that's going to keep them down, right? But it was like, you know, either thick mosquitoes or thick smoke. Well, we had both because the thick smoke didn't scare the mosquitoes away, and we were getting eaten alive. We were coughing and choking from the smoke. Finally, you know, you crawl into your pup tent, which, by the way, pup tents didn't have zippers on them. They had like 2 or 3 strings on the end that you actually tied the doors closed. Yeah. And that didn't keep the bugs out because it was all open at the bottom, right? So it was horrible mess. It was horrible. No mosquito nets or bug jackets back then either.
Yeah. That's awesome. I can so picture it, man. Oh, yeah. I try to personally, the way that we plan our trips, the way that I plan our trips is I make a point of, I just don't do spring. It will drive me crazy. And I'm used to the young lady being the magnet for mosquitoes. So she doesn't go out for it. So
No.
yeah.
Yeah. They love me.
Yep. Yeah. Which means I don't get bit so much, but then she's pretty unhappy. So it's not really a winning situation.
For me, mosquitoes, the worst part of mosquitoes is the buzzing in my ears. If they're on me and they get on me and I got to swat them off or pop them out, I don't mind that. It's that buzzing in your ear, right? It's like
when you're trying to sleep at night, especially.
Yeah.
There's one in the tent and it's just.
That's all it takes is one. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I get these big red itchy welts that drive me crazy for a week afterwards. So that's why I really don't enjoy them.
My
Which
son-in-law's like that. He looks like a pincushion after any canoe
That's it.
trip or
Oh.
Yeah.
camping trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Mosquito
not
flies by and me breaks out.
just gets near. That's excellent. Okay, so son-in-laws, when you do your tripping, is it with buddies? Do you do tripping with the son-in-law, daughters, all that sort of jazz? How does that? Who do you care who you take? Do you plan it differently for different people? What?
You know what? Not so many of my family members partake in this. I'm almost like a soloist when it comes to this type of thing. My wife has been on a couple of trips with me, but not for a long time. We had a bad experience one year, and she says she prefer not. She prefer the holiday. And my son-in-laws, I'm trying to get them out on a trip, and that'll probably happen this summer for the first time. There again, they see some of the crap I go through, and I think it intimidates them a bit. But I think once they get out there, like me on my first time, that bad trip, get them out there to experience it, and then the tune might change a little bit, right? So most of my canoeing is either with buddies. I got a long time canoe partner, my buddy Jay. Him and I have paddled together for well over 20-25 years. Like, we've been going consistently every August, our big canoe trip. Haven't missed a year yet. And he and I used to work together back in the factory days, and he's maintained, and he's got a son now that's the same age as my youngest daughter, and he comes on the trips with us. And yeah, so it's a good time. We get great shared experiences with buddies. I've been doing a lot of paddling with the guys from Kid Products. As you know, they've gotten to be pretty good friends of mine as well. So it's a lot of fun getting out there and experiencing the backcountry with my buddies. I'd love to have my family come out with us, but I'm not going to force anybody to do something that they don't want to do. Yeah.
I'm getting the evil eye here.
Sorry, Tim. I hope I don't get you in trouble.
I'm pretty used to it.
Well, and you mentioned too that you like to eat well while you're backcountry camping.
Yep.
So are you like into cooking generally, or do you do dehydrated food? Do you take prepackaged meals on your own, or what? How do you manage that?
It's a little bit of both. I've always been I guess called a camp cook. That way there I know what I'm eating. But over the last few years, and through watching YouTube videos and all these guys getting out and tripping together, like these collaboration videos, I started realizing that these guys are going out there and they're all responsible for their own meals. So I trying to convince the guys I canoe with, hey man, like let's do our own meals. You get to eat what you want, as much as you want, however you want to prepare it. And it really takes the load off of one single person cooking every single meal, right? Uh, to me, that I enjoy cooking. We could even say to do, you cook one day and you cook another day and you cook another day and you surprise everybody with whatever you want your meal to be. That works out well. That way it's all shared, eh? But yeah, I'll do either or. Either prepared meals. I like my freeze dried meals now. They're really starting to grow on me as they're getting better. They're tasting better. The quality of the food is a lot better. A lot of them are a lot less salts and stuff like that.
Right.
You can only carry so much fresh into the backcountry. Well, I guess you can carry all you want, but trying to maintain fresh food for a long period of time is a little difficult. But you know what? It's a mishmash of everything. Freeze dried, dehydrated, fresh, and hopefully not having to cook every meal for everybody.
I solved that portion of it by simply only tripping with Thomas. So it's just two of us, and we dehydrate for whatever months beforehand, and I cook at home. I seem to cook on the road as well, or on the water as well. So
yeah, and Thomas probably loves that.
He doesn't seem to complain any. Yeah.
He eats a lot of it.
He eats a lot of it. Holy mackerel.
You've said that he's a strapping young lad, so I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Well, you might get to meet him at the outdoor show. I'm gonna go Saturday and Sunday. Pamela's gonna come, I think probably Sunday, and Thomas will probably come with me on Saturday. So
Awesome.
yeah, he's this big around, which is skinny little turd.
And they're the ones that eat the most.
And 6'2" and 2 hollow legs. Like it's just, yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, excuse me. The Kevin Rides Backcountry Eats. If you don't have it, get it.
I got it.
Okay, cool. It's great. Like I've done my own sort of whatever, not necessarily recipes so much as I dehydrate different ingredients and then throw them together into a dehydrated soup or whatever. I've tried to do ground beef before, and it's been just terrible. Just gravel, flavorless, doesn't rehydrate, doesn't do anything. His technique of boiling it, we put it together with a meal. This past summer is the first time I've done one of his recipes, and it was fantastic. It was awesome. So it's like, oh, we can have really good tasting stuff too. That's how cool is that?
Yeah. Kevin did a really good job on that book. He did a lot of research into it, or put a lot of research and thought into it. He's been on the show, on Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure show, a few times. Him and also Michaela Ferguson, who has a small cookbook out as well. And everybody always loves talking recipes and dehydrating with Kevin, because, like I say, he has put in that much research into it. Fantastic book. If anybody out there hasn't picked one up, by all means, get out there and support it. It's readily available. So
yeah, and it's big. Like that's a lot of recipes, man. So yeah, it's not like you'll use it up in one trip or anything like that. There's years and years and years, and you'll go back and do some of them again for sure, just because they're that good. So.
Sure. I could give you a quick little tippy there too on the ground beef. Is sometimes I won't even use the ground beef. I'll use the dehydrated black beans, and it's a black bean recipe. Trying to think of the company that makes it. Oh gosh, but they make like this mixture. It's all dried, and you could rehydrate it, turn it into patties. You could put it into sauces or whatever. It could be soup fillers. And it's almost like having ground beef in there. You wouldn't really notice it when it's mixed and mingled with all the other flavors, right? So yeah,
cool. I'll have to look out for that.
Yeah.
Mostly, I'm I'm still ecstatic about the fact that ground beef works in the backcountry. Yay, go Kevin!
I got a few jars of it downstairs. I got to start using it before it does go rancid on me.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of Canoehound, where did that name come from, or how did you get dubbed Canoehound?
It started back in the backcountry. My dad used to come canoeing with us, and my dad would every morning. My dad's a real character. He'd get out there in the backcountry, and he'd wake up in the morning, and he'd do this big Tarzan yell, pounding his chest by the lakeside. Right? It's like, and since my dad. He's not in the best of health, but he hasn't been tripping with us for quite a few years. So I tried doing that one time. My dad was a big influence on me. It's like, I'm gonna go down by the water in the morning, and the guy said, "Would you shut up, Canoehound?" And it kind of stuck. Yeah. So I thought it was a pretty neat nickname, and my buddies call me that, and we've all taken on. Most of our canoe party have taken on, as we call it in the backcountry back in the days when it was appropriate, but we've all taken on Indian names, right? So like the one young fellow, we call him Running Water, because it's like, Owen, want to get some water, right? And he'd always get the bucket, go down to the water, so we call him Running Water, right? Just all these different names for each guy, and some of them stuck, some of them really didn't. The name for my buddy's dog, I can't say it, but Little Effer was his he used to come into the kitchen when we'd batter outdoor kitchen. We'd batter our fish, put it on top of our pail, ready to fry it up, and he'd come in and he'd still want to take off. So it's always, get out of the kitchen, little.
Yeah. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to Dennis Rogers for joining us today from Canoehound's Outdoor Adventure Show. We so appreciate your time and energy and stories for being here. I'm Pamela.
I'm Tim.
We are from supergoodcamping.com. We are here because we're on a mission to inspire other families to enjoy camping adventures such as we have with our kids. Please do reach out to us on all the social media. We are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we have a YouTube channel. We would love more followers on our YouTube channel. Our email address is hi@supergoodcamping.com. That's hi@supergoodcamping.com. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye.